Remember when you used to like look on Cyberjam to see who had a crush on you for the week?
That's making me cringe a little bit.
Or like making CDs on LimeWire and Napster.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That makes me feel old.
Yeah.
But yes, like that's when you could really like that was like love for us. Like, yeah, this guy loved me, make
This
me a
guy like
CD.
me,
Yeah.
rate me.
And now it's more like, hey, I put gas in your tank, and you're like, oh yeah, you love me,
Yeah.
or you bring me lunch, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love has changed over the seasons, over the periods of our lives.
Yeah, I feel like how we define love now is much more on a deeper, more authentic level, and it is different depending on the person too. So
And depending on yourself and
Yeah.
what it is that you're looking for and how you receive love, how you give love, is not just black and white anymore.
yeah.
One look, and I
See that many teeth?
one touch, feels skinny.
Welcome to TNT with the Sing, where we sip on truth and deep dive into life's messy, beautiful, and sometimes dramatic moments. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Chelsea.
And we're here to chat about all things real, raw, and relatable. Let's get into it.
Brie, I'm so excited about today's episode because we get to unpack love with two of our favorite people, and really it's about what's love got to do with it.
I know this is one of my favorite topics, especially because it's so dynamic, and we may need more sessions to unpack it all. But before we get into it, I want to invite you all to like, follow, comment, and subscribe on Spotify or YouTube. We really enjoy looking at all the feedback and advice and everyone submitting everything. Don't forget that you can actually submit your tea on our link in bio on Instagram specifically. So please do continue to follow us along and subscribe and share. All right.
So before we get into today's dilemma, I brought a game this time. So it's gonna be called Love It or Leave It.
Okay.
So pretty much I will do two, you will do two, and we'll decide if we
Two
love
what?
it. Two statements
Okay.
in the relationship, if we love it or we're going to leave it.
Okay.
So I'll go first. Having your partner's location 24/7.
I love it. I have my partner's location.
I love it too.
24/7.
I love it too.
I mean, just in where we live, and it's just good to know where he is. I actually almost never check it unless like.
It's good to know that you have it in
Yeah.
case of any emergencies.
Exactly.
Like, I definitely love it. I mean, it's something that we have as a family.
Our entire family
Yeah.
will track each other.
Yeah. So I love it.
What about breakfast in bed?
I would love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Some people I know would be like, oh, crumbs in the bed, but like,
No, be for real,
no,
man.
there are people who don't like,
No, that's true.
you know, their bed is their sacred space. But for me, honestly, the fact that you even cooked, hello.
Yeah, and for me, like as a mom, I'm tired, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, bring the food. I would love that. All right, my last one would be having access to your partner's phone. Passcodes.
Leave it. I don't think everything you must know. I mean, I actually wanted my husband's own, and then because of his work, he can't share it.
Right.
But then it's like I don't even care. I trust him, so it's whatever. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. It's neither here nor there. If I have it, I have it. If I don't, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, having something for yourself, some level of privacy is fine. But if I want to access it for some reason, get a number or whatever the case is, something simple like that, fine. But it's not to be like, Lord, I forgot through this man's phone now because who's he talking to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a good one, because I know this one caused lots of contention. Love it or leave it. Your spouse is invited to like a wedding or a private event and you are not. Should they go with
I
love it or leave it? Well, first of all, should they even be invited separately?
Cheese on peas. I think it depends on the event. I really do think it
Well,
depends.
if it's
on
a
the
wedding?
event. If it's a wedding, you're out of order for not inviting the
But
partner.
what if it's a budget thing?
Ooh. But how are you gonna know it's a budget thing? Because they're not gonna be like, oh, you're only inviting you because I don't have no money. I don't know. That one is I don't know.
I have lit up Basil before for going to an event that I was not invited to.
I don't
So
know.
I'm gonna
Like,
love it
I'm
or
also
leave it.
no. You're gonna leave it.
Leave
You're not into that. For me, I'm not like a hard to please kind of person. Like, as I say, it depends on the
And who it is.
Yeah,
What if it's somebody that really I try violate or like
then
be
you absolutely
disrespectful
you're not
to
going.
Yeah.
You're not going.
Yeah.
You're not going. Sorry. We're not gonna get into it. You're just not going. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into inviting our guest for the day as
Yeah.
we unpack what's love got to do with it. Today we have two very special guests with us today. These are powerhouse women in our lives that have impacted us from a little bit till now. And we just think that they demonstrate love and have lived love in various forms. And today we'd love to share who they are with us today.
So first up, we have our mommy, Suzanne. Mommy is a powerhouse psychotherapist who has spent years helping people navigate their feelings, emotions, relationships. And so having her as our mom, I mean, Britt and I have gotten free therapy sessions, whether we like it or not, for our entire lives. And I mean, she has really been an impact, a big impact in our lives every single day. I mean, she's the first person I call every day, 24 times for the day.
And then we have our Auntie Michele, who I would have met when I was about, 8 years old? Or younger.
Way younger.
Younger.
Way younger.
And Auntie Michele is a powerhouse businesswoman. She doesn't want to be referred to as such anymore because she lives fearlessly and passionately and living a life of adventure in retirement. Mommy thinks she's redefined retirement, but she is that auntie that we can go to for absolutely anything. And she's also the one that will draw up our partners for us too. And say, how you not do this for the man? This is that auntie.
Real and raw.
Real and raw. So today we're gonna unpack what love's got to do with it in relationships, and we're super excited. So to begin, we thought we'd start by asking you, what is a time in your life where you felt the most loved?
And this is definitely unrehearsed. Wow. No, for me, love is multi-layered, right? So it's hard for me to just think straight off the bat and say this experience is it. But as you spoke, it really what came to mind is my mother. And who came to mind was the love of my mother, which I didn't ever have to question. Unshaken, I mean, just always consistent, carried me through thick and thin, certainly as a child. And I don't even want to get emotional thinking.
My mama.
But I would say a mother's love is really so powerful.
We are feeling it. We're a testament, I think. You know, like, your love for us is unmatched.
Why the ball
Unmatched.
start? Auntie Mish?
So I wasn't sure if it's love just
Whatever.
generally,
Yeah.
or if it's a love of the man, or the husband, or the children. Is just love.
Whichever one.
Whichever kind of love.
Yeah.
Well, I will have to say that I'm feeling the most love at this moment in time. I'm feeling the most love from my son, who is back in Jamaica.
Yay! He's here with us today, guys.
That is just totally amazing. I've had the most wonderful Christmas. This year was the most amazing Christmas. I had a love of family, of my daughter, her husband, my new son, and then my mother is now staying with me. And like Auntie Sue, it's just an amazing experience having my mom with me at this time of her life. And so right now at this moment, I'm feeling love all around in all aspects. And I have a gentleman who is giving me a lot of other kind of love. So right now I'm just super loved. And by family, being invited to do this is a demonstration of love. You know, I was like, I'm so scared, but
yeah, and I'm so happy, Auntie, that you feel that way, because you really deserve that love. Like, whew. Yeah, you really deserve to be loved, because you pour so much love into everybody else, you know. So I'm really happy to hear that this moment.
I'm just thinking about what I said about love being multidimensional. You know, that we can experience it in different forms with different people at different times in our lives, and it's completely different every time. It's such a fresh emotion and experience that it should be said that each one of those experiences should be treasured.
absolutely.
And you know, it's not always cotton candy sweet, but for me love is the experience and the memories that it holds. And of course you think of family first,
Yeah.
you know.
You do.
But there are moments of love every day.
Every day. But I think when I spoke about my mom, I think that and I mean, I can say the same for my dad, but I experienced love from him in a completely different way. But for my mother, that is the warm,
Safe space.
yeah, that safe place where you can just say anything and you know you're not going to be judged. And she has always listened to me. And I think even now I value that. I was just cussing Auntie Michele off for the same thing. You don't listen to me.
I can pick up her WhatsApp
For evidence, right? So I think being heard and being appreciated, being seen for who I am, any experience around that
Is love.
makes me feel loved.
Yeah, I think I can definitely relate to that. I feel like when I feel seen and heard and understood and validated, that's when I feel the most loved.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it's even from strangers, like somebody just seeing you.
Like you get me, you're actually hearing me, you know?
Yeah.
That's definitely a big form of love for me, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what I'm saying as well too. However, it's also very important for you to know yourself in the midst of it all, because many times we don't know what we want, and we will embrace things that are not necessarily good for us.
Let's get into it.
You know, it's like I love chocolate, and it's not always good for me to be inhaling it 7 days a week. But it's if I have it in moderation, I know that it's good for me, especially dark chocolate, as everybody knows. Dark chocolate is good for you. So it's also very good for you to know what it is that you need, the dose that you need, and also the quality of what you need.
Auntie Michele, how has that perspective impacted your life? The idea of, you know, making sure you know who you are, what you're about, so that, you know, you're making the right decisions in love.
Well, I mean, as you all know, I do my own thing, right? And my sneakers are always at the door. So if there's any sign of anything, I put them on and I run. Okay? So I know what I want and I know what I deserve. There are times, there are periods in your life when you knew what you want, you knew that you should have done something different and didn't do it because there were so many other people involved. But you knew what you needed to do. You know, so yeah.
I don't think everybody gets that knowing feeling.
Yeah.
You know, they will definitely question, have doubts.
I don't know, mommy. I feel like people know. You know, but you have these restrictions, and like either people's opinions are holding you back, or you feel like it's not the right time. But deep in your soul and your heart, you know. When you know, you know. And it's you literally could be holding yourself back. It's just out of fear. The fear of the unknown. You hold yourself back.
But also, when you know, it's like you want. I'm a fixer. I'm sorry.
Me too.
I'm always trying to
I always take
find
up
a way
project.
to make it work. Right. And then it becomes a project. Right. And then you try and make it work, and you fix it, and you this and that and that, and then but the sneakers are still there at the door, ready to run.
I love the sneaker thing. I love that.
Yeah.
But is the sneaker thing an analogy that you're not fully loving?
No.
Because you're not fully giving your 100.
Yeah.
Because in the back of your head, you're always like, it might not work.
Must have
Let me
plan
just-
A, plan B, plan C, and plan D always. Yes, exactly. But the truth of the matter is that regardless of how perfect a relationship is, you need to have an alternative.
But then is that like setting it up for failure?
No, it is
It's kind of
not.
like when you do a
You're being
prenup.
practical. Yes, like when you're doing a prenup. Exactly. You're being practical.
Because people are people.
Because people are people and man is man.
Okay, but separate even if it's not a male relationship, because we still have friendships and those
Yes.
kind of things. Like, is that the same perspective, like with sneakers at the door?
I would think so always.
So you have sneakers at the door for mommy? I'm stunned.
No,
Not my mommy.
No, I hear you.
Confession.
I hear you. But the truth of the matter is that you must always have
Like you guard up.
not a guard up. No, you have to be authentic, right? You have to be real always. But you need to have just a little piece that you keep.
For me, it is more of, I feel like when you know yourself, you know your boundaries and how to protect your boundaries.
Maybe
So it's
that's
not that it's a wall or, but you know the things that you can and cannot tolerate.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then if that person and you really do love each other, then you can say that I feel like this boundary
Is being crossed.
is being crossed,
and
you know?
then because of the love you have for that person, you can talk to them openly.
Yeah, exactly. It comes
And
down to
say-
that
But
too.
some
You have to be
people
able
can't
to
talk.
communicate.
No, man, you have to be able to talk
But if
to
you
them
can't talk,
openly.
it's just not going to work. You're literally going to have walls being built. Those cement blocks are just going to keep growing, and that's when it's like, what's the point? It's
Which
not
is
going to
why-
work.
Which is why what I was saying earlier is that you really do have to know yourself. You have to have some idea of what it is that you want, what you need, what you value,
What you'll accept.
what you will accept, and have some amount of agency for yourself. Now, when it is that someone else might be imposing and you feel violated, then that's where most people recall they have some experience that would have been, almost like a deal breaker or trauma, whatever experience that is negative, that they will fall into that place of fear. However, if you know yourself, if you spend the time understanding self, then in future relationships, you're able to now say, that's enough chocolate for me. I can have this amount, but if I have any more, I'm going to get nauseous.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's important that you really do have some understanding of what it is that you
That you
want
want.
in a relationship, what it is that how do you define love for yourself? It varies from person to person. So it's not just a feeling, it's an action word.
Yeah.
I would want to know, as women sitting here, like, how do you define love?
I think very similarly. For me, it is, how someone shows up for me and how it makes me feel in my body. And again, it's different for everybody. I think when it comes to my friends, the feeling seen thing is a big thing for me. Even in my marriage, I always say, honey, like, I don't feel seen today, or, you know, like, I just want you to, like, I want you to be able to look into my eyes, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but you're supposed to look into my eyes and know, Brittany did a ball today, no, let me check in, like, you know, like, I want that kind of, like, attentiveness, and that's when I feel, like, being seen is just, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the same. I can relate to that, like, being seen and being heard. Sometimes I don't have to be the one to, like, pick up the phone and say, I'm going through this, you know? And I can always think, when I don't know what it is, there's something with my dad. When he doesn't he lives in Maypen, I'm in Kingston. But clockwork, I could be having the worst day, and he will call and say, Shelly, I have you on my heart, what's wrong? And that's how he shows up for me in that way. I feel, while not physically seen, he sees me, he knows me, he hears me. And of course, same for mommy. Like, I'm on the phone with her all the time. So, like, my parents they know me, they get me, you know? So that's how I see love. Like, being seen and heard is the biggest thing for me. Feeling valued, being appreciated and loved for who I am. Like, you not trying to change me.
And also, like, being able to, I enjoy, like, the relationships I have with my friends when they allow me to hold space for them. That to me feels like love as well. Well, I would hope to them they feel loved, because I think oftentimes we don't hold space for each other in a real way and really listen to, you know, somebody could be talking to you, but their heart is saying something else, you know, like, I really value relationships like that. And that doesn't happen often, because I just feel like everybody's so busy. There's life, work, social media, all of these distractions, and we're not really hearing. You know, I mean, I got mad at Chelsea this week, and I called mommy. And then when we were talking, I was like, you know, it's really not about the thing that happened. Like, what's going on in her heart? And, like, being able to, like, think beyond what we're seeing in the physical, but really what's going on in that person's spirit. I think that's love too, like, recognizing that people are not always what they're presenting, but there's just so much more depth there that we have to be, like, looking for.
I think sometimes as well too, people think that material gifting is a demonstration, or even just having material things make them happy. But what I'm hearing us speak about now is more experiences and relationships, and having that depth in conversations that really cause you to open up yourself and share with another person.
Yeah.
So I know Auntie Michelle doesn't really put shoes on when it is that I am actually opening my heart to her, that she's there to listen to me and to, you know, be a safe place.
She's a safe
when I need
place
to vent, or, you know, some silly thing that I might just need somebody to hear me with, that she's there for me. So yeah, I mean, definitely. It's not about what you can buy, how you look. Those things are not important in a relationship. It's the connection and the depth of that connection. And many times love has been just
glamorized.
Yes, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
something
girl.
soft, and you know, you have to have bling on, or I'm not marrying somebody or going out with somebody if they don't have X, Y, and Z, or they have not accomplished whatever, you know, PhD.
Or what it
something.
looks like to everybody else.
Yeah, I really
Exactly.
feel for people that live that way. Like, there's just no depth.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's sad. And unfortunately, people just learn the hard way that that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Some don't learn it.
And some don't learn
for
at all.
me, I mean, I love the white picket fence, I'm sorry. And the flowers.
I was going to bring that up.
Yes. And, you know, everything being perfect, and being like having somebody or a group of friends that you can call. I know if I was to call you at 2 o'clock in the morning, you'd answer the phone, right? you know, just having that safe person, you know. But I believe in white picket fence, and I believe in white
the fantasy.
Yes, I do, and it happens. It happens.
Can I
Because
tell
I'm
you, Auntie?
experiencing the fantasy right now. I am, seriously.
When I
White
first got
puffy-
married, I was
white
so
puffy
mad.
dog.
I was like, Mommy, this white picket illusion that you guys sold.
Yeah.
I don't think it really goes so. Like, I feel like our generation, we grew up on Disney and, you know, the happily ever
fairy-
after
yeah.
thing. And then, like, nobody really showed us what happened when he moved into the castle. Like, when
Where
she
the
take the
real
fan.
work, yeah, that's when the real work starts. when
I
you're
remember
in the
calling
castle.
Mommy, like, maybe, like, 2 months into marriage, like, why did you guys lie?
Yeah.
We didn't. You just weren't listening.
Exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Wait! Get to know the man.
Well, I don't know about that, but
No matter how much.
I mean, here I am married 38 years. I'm still getting to know the man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
I mean, I know stuff that nobody else knows, but definitely we're evolving.
Exactly what I was
Yeah.
about to say. People
We're
evolve and
always
grow every day. Yeah.
evolving. And I mean, sometimes I look at Courtney and I'm just like, I remember
you?
when you were, you know, when he was like 19, 20.
In his bell bottoms.
Yeah, and so I just sit and I look at him and I'm like, wow. And I
Yeah.
still love you.
Yeah.
You know? I still want to be with you. And he looks so different, guys. He looks very, very different. And I mean, when I met him, he was like a broomstick. And if you know how he looks now, he's completely different. But I say all that to say that appearances and some of the things that seem to be important, at
Not
the end of the
important.
day, it's just really no. I have built a life with this man, and he is a great husband. I mean, you guys can describe him
I don't
as a
want
dad. But
The best
he
daddy.
has evolved into this role, you know, and many roles and hats that he wears. And I think back to when it was that he was, you know, a young guy, and I was intrigued. I mean, I was not interested in a relationship with him. We were just
Yeah.
best buds, right? We would just sit down and chat all sorts of stories about other people. But we were very good friends, you know, and I think what happened over time is that we realized that we had more than just our friendship. And here we are, 38 years later with 4 grandchildren.
Wow.
And I mean, I value all the hills and gullies and all the highs and lows that we have experienced, and all of it. Would I do it again? Absolutely, absolutely, because the ride, the journey is really what is the love.
So now that you bring that up, a lot of the time, especially young couples, when you know the ebbs and the flows, and the people always say you made it past the 5 years, you're good, you know, like you can do this thing, right? But like, what is it that about love that actually holds you together? Because sometimes for me, it's, I mean, I guess it was love, but like there was a lot of other things that made us be like, all right, we're going to make this thing work, because it's not easy. It's especially in the dips. Sometimes whatever you're going through, whether for me it was like postpartum or depression or whatever the things are that affects
Is
those
it
things,
enough?
like does love actually hold it together?
Well, again, we need to define love. Right? So what is it that held me through all of these ebbs and flows, highs and lows? I would say that I was committed. I knew that, well, first of all, I had children involved. So whenever the rough times came, I knew that I had a friend, because he was my safe place. You know, I could go to him. Clearly, I had my mother alive at that time as well. And so she was a support to me. But if it is, not if, but when it was that we experienced difficult times, the communication is crucial.
So friendship communication.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because you're not going to feel that warm, fuzzy feeling all the time.
You don't.
You don't feel that. It's just like, are you going to be here for me when I'm going through this? Or are we going to talk about this in a respectful way?
Are you gonna hear me?
Are you going to hear me? And vice versa. This is a two-way street. I need to also hear his side of the story. And then for us to now chart a way. So it's not like a tug of war of power. It's not manipulation. It's not disrespect. But really knowing the other person and the other person knowing you. So there's that sense of validating each other that has to remain consistent. If it is that you are in this fantasy world, Walt Disney version, it may not necessarily work because the other person, as much as they know your Walt Disney story, they may not be interested in a Walt Disney production.
This is, I mean, you hit the nail on the head because unlike you, two marriages, divorcee twice. So clearly there is some formula that I missed in the white picket fence. To your point, you want the white picket fence, you want it to work. You want this loving relationship and you're going to do everything. But the other person I want it.
They have to have buying.
Yeah.
Or the other person is not seeing where it is that this whole white and what it is. So you have this beautiful goal of the white picket fence and the white puffy clouds and the blue sky and all them pretty things. But the other person is both of you. You can be, in one case, it was you walking up the hill and dragging the man with you, right? And in another case, it was the person just did not share that vision as well. So,
yeah, so it has to be a mutual, mutual respect, a mutual vision,
Aligned values,
and the warm, fuzzy feelings.
still must be there. I'm sorry. They have to be there.
It can't be there the whole time though,
It
Auntie.
cannot.
Like
But
that's
the
just
warm-
life.
But
It
the
does
warm,
not.
fuzzy feeling, you have to find a way. Okay, I'm not saying you're going to have it all the time, but you have to go, in other words, you must go back to the
You have to be
warm, fuzzy
intentional
feeling.
about,
Yes.
Let's find back that feeling.
Yes,
Like be
exactly. In other
intentional
words,
about it.
Exactly.
But that part feels like work sometimes, especially
Relationships
Life be life,
are work.
bruv.
No, yeah.
Like sometimes Basil come home and I'm like, I don't even want to say hello, much less. like, I'm tired. So,
Well, I mean, Auntie Michelle is at a different phase
Yes,
in life.
she's
right?
living her best life.
Young kids,
Yes,
you're hustling to
Been
make
there,
ends meet.
been there,
Yeah,
been
she's
there.
paid her dues.
Yeah.
So the truth is that many times we are tired, and it's not a situation where you're going to have all this energy all this time, and so it has to be directed towards children,
Oh, man,
towards
yeah.
work, towards
Whatever life throws at you, yeah.
So I'm saying sometimes, on the totem pole of life, that the husband is down here or your partner is down here because, and he's okay with that. He needs to be okay
he needs
with
to.
that.
That's I think that's a major cause of why oftentimes some men may step out of the marriage because that thing they can't live with. And I would say that I think the most important thing or to sustain a relationship is grace, because you're supposed to be just be giving each other grace in every journey and understanding that as people, we are evolving. And I think what you brought up, Auntie Michelle, is like, you know, when you pull in the person,
Yeah.
like they're not doing the self-work and the growth and recognizing that they too are evolving. They're just stuck in high school, you know?
Exactly.
So I think it's important to look for a partner that has that growth mindset about themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to self.
Self, yeah.
You do really have to, as you were saying, just having something to give. And if you're not kind of like working on yourself or knowing yourself, then what will you give? What is the quality of what you're offering? You will give the person, you know,
Mediocre.
crumbs.
Yeah.
And sometimes you give crumbs.
And you would just have to give your grace.
And guess what? Your partner is also giving you crumbs at times.
Yeah.
You know, so it's okay. So yes, you're working towards the white picket fence, but there are days along the journey where
Absolutely.
crumbs are real. What's holding you together?
Air patties.
It's the reality of life. But as you keep your eyes on the prize, it's what will just keep you going. As long as you're doing it together.
With the right person, with the right mindset.
vision. Yeah, like this is what we're working towards. And we're going to do it together. What's your part? What's your part? And just knowing. There has to be that knowing of what you bring to the table.
And managing the
statement,
expectations.
bring to the table the young people, like young people, us, or age group. They're always like, you know, that conversation, men tend to ask the woman, what can you bring to the table? And it's like taken with offense. Like women, you know, what do you mean what I can take to the table? But like, it's not about you looking
Cute.
great and, oh, I'll wash the dishes when you get home from work and have dinner prepared. Like, I'd love your perspective of what is it that you should be bringing to the table.
Yeah, how you may help the person to succeed. You know?
Modern day
To the
women are
point-
completely different.
The
So
whole point about self, you gotta take care of you. Number one.
the
Because
self-care.
if you don't take care of you, you can't help nobody else. So you have to love yourself.
yeah.
Amen.
And
That even when him not love you, you just
when you
you're
hit
still a rock.
love you, or when things fall apart in whatever aspect it falls apart in business, in relationships with family, with relationships with friends, whatever, you are still whole and recognize that you are
That girl.
exactly
The goodie. The
Exactly.
real good girl. Is that what it means to, is that what you should be bringing to the table? Like your
Exactly.
full authentic self in love with you.
That's what you bring to the table.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so you really do need to be standing on good, solid ground and not really. What them red bottom shoes name? Like people aspire to wear the shoes, but then
Clarks?
there's no.
The class?
No. Red bottom.
Louboutin.
Yeah.
No, that's not the name, girls. But I'm very glad you don't know the name because
I'm not a materialistic girly.
thank you. Thank you. But the point I'm making is that sometimes you aspire to have those powerhouse type of shoes, and then there's nobody home in the shoes.
Yes.
It's just so shoes.
You're
that walk
empty.
down the road.
You're empty.
Yeah, so you need to be able to show up as the powerhouse woman, as Auntie Michelle has been over the years. You need to know what lane you're running in and run your race well. Even when you're in a relationship. Yes, and I think sometimes there is this thought that once you're in the relationship that the man wears the pants and you know biblical terms, he is the head of the household, and I'm in full agreement with that. However, there is something that women bring that is oftentimes underestimated or undervalued, that the house can't run without her. The vision cannot run without her. So she has to have buy-in into the vision, even if the partner creates
not,
the vision. You have to support each other. And so support it might mean for a season that you are home with the children. It might mean, yes, I'm cooking dinner, but you are working together on something together. And if that is ever violated, the trust, the respect in building out the vision, that's where people have problems. When it is that you violate each other's share or investment in the vision.
I think that sometimes the violation of the vision often comes because the person is not feeling loved. And so even in building that vision, it's so important to be intentional about tapping back in and reconnecting. And I think that part is very hard because we get caught up in our feelings. Like, after the man no do this for me, can't bother, I'm not bother try. I mean, I'm guilty of that. That's definitely happened where I'm like, I'm not going to bother because he's working all of these hours and I can't, like, there's no intentional time. So when you get caught up in those feelings too, it causes a spiral and a breakdown.
Again, we're talking about your needs as well too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that part. I feel like a lot of people need that.
Connection,
Yeah.
and you need to be able to have that connection and be intentional about getting it with your partner, not with John Public. But there again, it comes down to communicating,
Knowing what
my
you,
needs
yeah,
are,
and knowing how they want to be loved as well.
Yes. So I may want it. You may not know. I have to tell you that this is what I need, and you need to be hearing me.
But then if I'm telling you 50 times and you're not getting it, then
that's
That's when
there's
Auntie
a way.
feel like she's dragging you up the hill.
or
Then she put on the shoes.
What are we looking at?
Sneakers at the door.
yeah.
And that, I mean, truly, some people actually then step out of the relationship, put on their shoes, go for a latte, and come back as if nothing happened.
You need a breeze out to reconnect.
And that's not necessarily
Oh, Mr. Latte.
We're not endorsing that behavior. What we're saying is that, what I'm saying is that you need to be growing up together. You know, as I said, 38 years ago, he was not the person that he is now. And I've watched him mature. Similarly, he has watched me.
I think as your kids, we've watched you guys mature as well, especially Dad. Like, proud to have you guys as our parents.
As grown-ups.
Yeah.
Grown-up parents. Well, again, in your relationship, you need to show up grown up. Not like toddlers.
Yeah.
Because many times little toddlers who want
Crying, needy. The neediness
very
not go
needy,
work.
they need the ice cream, they want it, they'll throw a tantrum. You don't want to be in a relationship with a toddler. And you are the adult.
Yeah.
And then you're constantly trying
It's
to
tiring,
pull
it's exhausting,
pull
yeah.
the adult, I'm sorry, the toddler, pull the, and have,
Quasi-adult.
then it becomes tiresome. You know, so ensure that in this love relationship that we are seeking after, that you are both growing up together.
Yeah.
That's another integral ingredient. You know, you're growing together.
What if there are times when, like, how do you push through this part? So you're like growing. You're like, he's still a baby, you know, but there's still potential there. Like, how you manage the potential part? Because I do, you know, there are tons of women who probably have experienced, you know, their husband's, you know, infidelity, and then somehow their lives transform and they've redeemed themselves. Like, how do you get to that redemption and stay, or how do you decide to leave and run with the boots? Like, what does that decision?
I think for each experience, each person has their own way of defining love and whether or not they will actually offer grace or bolt out the door. Or, I mean, there's so
You
many
have to
things.
know,
so many dimensions.
and it
It
goes
needs
back
to
to knowing what you want, what you're gonna tolerate, what your
It's a
boundaries are.
personalized,
Yeah.
and so, and you know, we all will do different things in different situations. There's no formula, there's no band-aid, except to say, know thyself. Know yourself, and really give opportunity to know the other person as well. Because that's what love is. You really are taking the time to learn about the other person, because you already know you. So now you're like curious. So it's a relationship of curiosity that keeps you invested, even when it is that the person is down here and you are maybe up here, that you are so interested in what's going on with the other person, so locked into them, that you want to know, spend time with them, hear them, like what would cause you to go put on the sneakers, go for a latte, come back?
What's going on?
Bring me a latte. Help me to understand this.
I want a latte too. Can we all have a latte?
So the conversations that you can have around it
Yeah.
is really where you now need to have a discerning ear to figure out, is this something that I can I manage this, you know, or do I definitely lace up the boot and, you know, skedaddle?
I mean, I'm hearing different things that is creating a lot of feeling inside of me. No, I mean, because in the first situation of my situation, I was here, he was here. You dragging, and you decide,
You can't
drag no more. I'm tired. In the second situation, you are here. The person goes out for the latte and comes back, and you get redeemed, and you go through a process of counseling and of all kind of something, and you believe that the white picket fence is about to happen, and then you get blown by a curveball reach you. So it's like this is bringing back everything that happened, and
Painful.
really, very painful, very painful. But you know, got through it.
Yeah.
Yes, she
Did
did.
the work
Yeah.
to fix yourself, but
Myself.
But for our viewers, which I think we're trying to help people here in this video here,
Yeah.
maybe we just need sometimes, as you said, first and foremost, knowing yourself and to be able to recognize. So you're in this, for me, in this thing of fixing, and you don't recognize that the other person, you don't have no intention to fix nothing. So how you don't pick that up? You know, so I don't know what to.
I know sometimes we may remain so intent on the white picket fence or the vision, whatever that vision might be, is that the other person, the curveballs can happen. Because truth be told, humans are faulty creatures, and you know, they can sometimes deceive.
Yeah.
And they show up and they give you some story that you buy
Plausible.
into. It sounds okay, but they're really not being honest.
Right.
You know, and they do hurt you. So,
But then, so people stay though, even with all of these. You see that the person isn't gonna change. The curveballs come. You stay. Like, how do you get past that?
but again, those are very individualized questions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking as a viewer. I know, you know, women, men, everybody kind of going through it in different ways. So I'm just trying to think generally, because these things are so common. It's so common.
These things meaning
Lattes and curveballs.
Well, again, I
Especially
as a
in Jamaica.
psychotherapist, I don't like to generalize. I want to hear
Exactly
person's
what's
stories
happening,
and
yeah.
to really help them to make decisions that are best suited for them, right? So I would say that, it's generally speaking, which
You don't like.
I don't like, it's important, with all the other variables that we discussed earlier, that you have to, say for instance, there are children involved, yes, young children, and persons want to protect their children, they may not necessarily move because the husband might be the main breadwinner. Or in a situation we were speaking earlier about how it is that narcissists like to the word narcissism has just been multiplying nowadays. If you're in a relationship with a narcissist and a grandiose narcissist, it's a very fragile situation. So if say for instance a woman or vice versa, you're involved with a grandiose narcissist, that person might actually want to destroy you if you leave, smear your name and your character. And so you'll find that the abused person may actually sit in the situation longer than they should, or just stay. So again, there's so many situations that could be.
I understand.
The answers are numerous.
Well, I think since we do have a dilemma, it would be good to put it in now. We could play our dilemma so that we can come up with a customized solution, personalized, as Mommy likes to do. So today's Sissy Dilemma is submitted by Lemon from our group chat. Let's take a listen.
Hey Jelly, so I have a friend in a little situation and I wanted to get you and Bree's opinion on it, right? Let me give you some context. So she has a boyfriend. They've been together for a while and like he loves her. We all know that he loves her, but of late she's been feeling very unloved despite her knowing that he loves her, right? Let me give you some more context. So she brought it up to him recently just to say, hey, you know, I know you love me and this and that, but I don't really feel it sometimes. And he just literally didn't get it. He began to get defensive and he's like, that doesn't make any sense. If you know you love me, how can you not feel loved? And she was trying to explain to him the idea of love languages, and that love languages are the way, you know, that people prefer to show love and to receive love. She believes that her love language, and I mean based on what she's saying, it makes sense, is words of affirmation. That's not what his love language seems to be, right? She wants to be told all the time, you know, she's so pretty and this and that. I mean, who wouldn't, honestly? But she's getting some pushback because he's just not understanding. Perhaps because it's, as I said, not his love language. She felt so right now she's all up in her head. She's feeling like she's going crazy, and she's starting to feel very worthless. He doesn't understand why she needs it this way, and he's chalking it up to just being a woman thing, and that men don't think that way. She really, really loves him, and she really wants to make it work, but she's just not sure if she can handle it. You know, the feeling of worthlessness. I mean, come on, who would want to feel that way, right? But she wants to kind of figure out another way that she can communicate this with him or to him without him taking it the wrong way or getting defensive. Do you have any advice?
Sis needs to love herself.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Worthless.
I don't want to say it, but she sounds like she needs therapy.
She need her some self-esteem.
Yeah, she shouldn't be looking for love in him.
Exactly.
She really needs to love herself.
But what if her love language is really words of affirmation?
You don't need it every day.
You can have it.
Mommy said enough is enough.
Yeah.
I mean, while she doesn't need it every day, he also needs to understand that she receives love in that way.
Yes.
And if he continues to dismiss her, that's just destruction right there. It's not going to work. She's going to eventually leave. So there has to be that level of communication for him to understand and for her to be able to explain it to him. And I guess that's what she wants us to help with. Like, how can she express this to him for him to get it? Because he's saying, yes, I love you. What more you need? She needs
You don't
to...
say I love you. Sure. What else you need? And you don't say get a new car.
Exactly.
What
You have
else?
a roof over
I
your
have
head.
a roof over here and food in the fridge.
She wants to
She just
hear,
want- yeah.
hey honey.
You look nice today, girl.
Yeah. So again, I hate to be
Mommy want more
repetitive.
more
Yeah,
detail.
I would
this
definitely
is
want to
very-
know more about her because her seeking this thing from one person is not necessarily wisdom either. There's so many things I need going through my mind.
Your
about
professional thing, you need to put that aside and do your personal thing.
for her though.
Yeah, because it needs some work.
Yeah, there's a lot
There's a lot of work to be done there.
There are lots of questions that come to mind because they've been in a relationship. She clearly was happy. She has fallen in love and is committed to this relationship with him. He must have been saying "I love you, honey" before because her needs were being met.
Right.
So did something happen? I would be curious to know
if there was a breakdown in trust.
Was there something that
Or
happened?
what has happened in your childhood why you're seeking validation from this man?
Before we even get there, it's not therapy.
That,
Yeah.
but what she's asking is, what can I do right now? So
No, but I'm just saying, like, when you are seeking like validation for somebody else about your worth, like I know a lot of what I've learned is a lot of these traumas that come from your childhood. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But
So, and I know you want all the questions and the
Yeah,
answers. So
'cause
I
I'm
know
like
that that's
thinking-
something that you're thinking about or want to know.
yeah, I'm thinking that maybe he is going through a rough spell and she's making a demand on him that he's not genuinely able to give because anything could be happening. He
Yeah,
could
that's
be-
so true. I like that you are considering him and what he's going through, because a lot of the time it's just like
Me.
the man worthless, him not of this, him not of that, and it's all about me. But really and truly, like these men today, they are going through it just as much or even worse than we are as women, you know.
Yeah, they
And
have
they
a
don't
bigger
have,
weight.
yeah, they have a bigger weight. They it's not the norm for them to open up and communicate about their feelings. So I like that you have put his feelings and what he's going through into consideration. So that's something that she needs to
Yes.
take a moment and try and, you know, figure out. Yeah.
Sit down or talk, not even try to figure it out.
Yeah, not
but
figure it out on her own, because that's not going to
communicate
work, right?
and have conversation around
What are you going through?
What is happening in
Yeah.
your life that maybe I could be a bit more supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Put my feelings aside for a moment and focus on you.
Yeah.
And usually when you switch it to the other person, the answers always come.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes when we talk about yourself, but when you say, okay, let's see fixing the other person, then you understand what
Yeah.
it is that she really needs to do.
Yeah, and even just in friendships, I think, like, you know, you might be having an issue with a friend, they've done something, you feel offended, and you're taking it personal. I think Brittany and I talk about it a lot, like, don't take it personal, like, really sit and say, like, they're clearly going through something, they're not well, you know, like, something's going on why they're behaving or reacting that way, versus taking the situation or the attack personal.
Right.
So that's a good way that she can like navigate that situation.
Yeah, I think also like I find that men are interesting characters. They don't necessarily like when a woman goes to them confrontationally, like, I don't feel this way, or, you know, I think it's very important to point
They
out.
turn off.
Yeah, it turns them, they just shut down. And one thing I always tell the parents that I work with too of boys is that when you women talk to each other like this and it feels natural, men don't. They sit on the side and reason with each other. Side by side. Men don't. Whenever men are like this, is an argument, right? So I think even how women confront how we're feeling is also to be put into consideration. I know that it makes a bigger impact, at least when I'm communicating with Baz, like when or I say I feel hurt when this behavior happens, or so try to be specific instead of being like
General.
yeah. They need to
What
know
you
the
talking about? I don't know.
He's like, give me an example, and you're like, why do I have to give you an example?
You just don't know how I feel? Yeah. Just know my brain. Like, so I think that happens a lot in relationships, and maybe she could consider how she's engaging on the topic.
Yeah. Because the reaction is to become defensive,
Yeah.
or to take offense.
A lot of the time, it's not what you say; it's how you say it.
Yes,
and
you
I
see.
believe in that. Live by that. Yes. So yeah.
Yeah.
Subtleties.
So on that note, we have dived into relationships and explored the intricacies of what love has really got to do with anything. What's love got to do with it? And want to really thank you ladies for being here.
Yeah, this is a very special
Yes.
episode to have you guys
we
here.
answered the questions now? Yeah.
You know, feel like you have?
You want to talk? She want to talk more? No,
Tell the people more.
More, no.
She's at ease now.
She don't want it to end.
No. Right back to me on.
But yeah, no, it's been really good to just kind of look at the intricacies of relationships. Some of the things that came up were, you know, giving each other grace, being committed to what the values are, what you had intended to do in that relationship, what you had intended to create together, and holding on to that. And loving yourself. The most important part of showing up for someone else is knowing who you are, what you bring to the table. And when you say what you bring to the table, it really is the depth of who you are and what you carry and your values and your intentions. It's not the physical, material things. Yeah. So is there anything you would like to close with? Any special words to the viewers about love, or, you know, advice, tips?
No, I mean, I would just say, just be yourself and just, you know, be authentic. Be real, and, you know, just, and be 100%. Yes, I talk about the shoes in the door, but the shoes at the door is only when the 100% that you have already given in and whatever, and that is exhausted. Then you go for the shoes. But the shoes must always be there. Okay.
Mommy.
Oh, what can I add to this? I would say that love is a journey. It's not necessarily a feeling. It's a series of experiences, and that they can be painful experiences and not just, you know, sweet cotton candy. It's not necessarily in that form. It comes in different forms, and it would be remiss of me not to say that it's not just about what your needs are, but it's the other person's needs as well. Really paying attention to the other person.
Wow, this was a good one. Thank you, ladies.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having us. Yay, hot kissy.
We did it.
We did it. Come here, friend. Oh.
This week's Sissy Shoutout goes to our Tea and Things Tea Party.
This is our premium membership community, and we're hosting our first event this Sunday. We're so excited to do cooking and connections with you.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for us to actually go a little bit deeper into the topic.
Because it's what's love got to do with it.
Yeah. So we can't wait to just share time with you, hold space for you as you navigate what love's got to do with it for you. Remember, what love actually has to do with it is about discovering who you are and what you really do bring to the table as a person.
So with that, keep sipping on tea and serving truth.
See you next time.